What's in your hand, little boy? All I've got is a slingshot. And the enemies of my people are great and big and more numerous.
You're tuned in to GHCR.NYC, Grant Houses Community Radio.
And close your eyes if you want to, and pull back that slingshot and let him go. David killed the biggest enemy, the leader of the giants, against his people, and his people became free, just letting God guide a stone in his hand. And a few years passed, and David is a king. And God says, what's in your hand? He said, I've got a harp in my hand. He said, well, David, play on your harp. And he played, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Leadeth me beside still waters. Yea, though I walk through the valley and the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. What's in your hand?
What's in your hand?
What's in your hand?
What's in your hand?
Man,
Wow.
take the rust. 2 nails in my hand. Father.
Man, oh man, that was Reverend Dr. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. He gave a sermon called What's in Your Hand? That's actually a Bible story. God said to Moses, what's in your hand? What's in your hand? Moses said, I can't lead these people to the promised land. I can't even talk. God said, what's in your hand? To Moses. Check that out. And we have on the line Dr. Titus Rich Jr.
Yes.
And do we also have Dr. Stephen E. Slate on the line also?
I don't think he's on yet. I don't see him there yet.
Okay. So first question before we get into the interview, you do any acting, performing?
Me?
Yes.
Well, I've had several opportunities and missed them, but I act every day.
Okay, so what I'm about to say, I hope you take this, I mean this in a very wonderful way, what I'm about to say. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
When I saw you, the first thing that became present to me was Frederick Douglass.
My mentor.
Wow. Wow. I mean, you could play him.
Dr. Rich, he's on now, right?
I'm trying to see if we can get Dr. Slate. I don't see him yet.
He told me he was trying to get on.
What's his number? Let me see what that is. I see a number there with the
Number is 646-573.
I don't.
You see that?
No, I don't see that.
Maybe it's his home number. Do you see another person on?
I see me, Streaming You Project, Rick Young, and a 179563 number. Who's that?
I don't know. Wait, hold on 1 second. Hold on.
79563, that's the first 5.
Well, I say we move forward, and then if we have to do a follow-up, we do a follow-up. That's okay. What I say.
All right.
What's going on?
It's just we can't see Dr. Slate.
Right. So I suggest that we move forward, and then if we have to do a follow-up, we'll do a follow-up.
She'll try to see if she can get him to come in, but we're
okay.
As best.
But in the meantime,
yeah,
let's move forward. Forward march.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, all right with me.
So as I was saying, you was now explain to me what you mean that Frederick Douglass is your mentor. Can you break that down?
Well, of all the things that he's done, one of the main things that I have about several books of him here in my home. I talk to young people about him.
Wow.
A lot of the young people on the street, they see me and they call me Frederick anyhow.
Wow, because of him?
Because of the way I look.
Oh, wow, check that out. Nice.
So every chance I get, I will tell them what he stood for. And one of the things that I always tell them what he stood for was to become educated. and get as much knowledge as you can. And that's one of the things I wanted to pass on to them and continue to try to pass on to them. Get your education, because that's how he made such an impact, because he was determined enough to make sure that he got some type of skills to survive in the society that he was under at that time.
So you are the director of mediation at the Institute for Mediation and Conflict Resolution, the IMCR Center.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about this center?
Well, the center is located at 369 East 148th Street in the Bronx, near 3rd Avenue, right there at the hub.
East 149th Street?
East 149th and 3rd Avenue.
There's a lot of action over there.
Oh yeah, maybe a couple of blocks from Lincoln Hospital.
A lot of action over there, boy.
And we see it, and we've experienced it many times firsthand.
Wow, nice.
As Dr. Slate comes in, and even if you have to make a follow-up, IMCR stands for the Institute for Mediation and Conflict Resolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of five community dispute resolution centers in New York City.
Okay.
New York State has 62 counties, and every county is represented by a community dispute resolution center.
Right.
And what the community dispute resolution centers do, they give people an opportunity to do an alternative process rather than going to court. They can settle disputes rather than go to court. They can actually come to the dispute centers and have their grievances addressed with a volunteer mediator who will give them as much time as they need to try to settle some kind of dispute. Now, IMCR started way almost 50 years now, and it started off as dealing with individuals that were in the labor field, such as Theodore Keel and others who were involved in settling disputes with the city. And so in 1959, around that time, there was a grant given to IMCR by the Ford Foundation, and they were trying to see if the policies and procedures and the mechanisms that were done through in the work field, could it be done at a community level? And so it did work out well. And we've been working at a community level, bringing these free services to people for over 50 years. And IMCR became the first community dispute resolution center in the city of New York. Mm. We were not the first per se in the state, but we were the first in the city.
Okay. Do you mind if we back up for a second before
Yes.
we get into the resolution thing? So I used to be a professional boxer at one time, right? So I think a lot in terms of boxing metaphors, analogies, and stuff like that, right? So I want to speak about this young lady by the name of Lynn Williams, because why I mention her, because she fought for you and Dr. Slate like champions to get you on this program. She fought like a champion, and she fought hard, and she fought like a champion. I just thought about a fighter when I thought about her doing what she needed to do to get you guys on this show. How did you connect with Lynn Williams?
Well, Professor Lynn Williams is a gem. She is a fighter. She is a go-getter. She is the type of person that we really need, and all of us should be like, to be tenacious like a pit bull, and just grab onto it and never let go. She came to us as an apprentice in ADR services. And she went through our program and is willing to learn. And that's one of the main things about a person who excel in things. They're willing to learn. And she's willing to learn, and whatever criticism was given to her, she would take it in stride. Because it bolstered her up and made her the better person. And she's an integral part, a very, very integral part of IMCR. And we're looking for more people, and they're out there. And she'll help us find them to come into IMCR and get the word out of what we're doing for the Bronx community.
That's very interesting. Because I said, you know what, you really fought, and she worked at it to get you guys on this program. And I said, wow. I said, is there any more Lynn Williams out there? So I asked her. That's the question I asked her. So I'm really impressed with her and her, like you said, her tenacity. Wow. So how did you get involved in mediation yourself?
Well, my background is from the police. I am a former transit police officer, spent nearly 20 years there. And after coming into the ADR field, I realized that what I was doing outside in a work-a-day situation, dealing with people, because people come to you with conflicts all the time, out on the road, as we call it. And you have to be a person to think on your feet and to try to de-escalate conflicts, to try to help people come to a realization of what's happening to them and why it's happening to them perhaps, and to get them to resolve conflicts right then and there, because many of them were resolved then and there. But after that, before that, I retired at 44 years old, and I realized that I still had to go to work. And I did a few things and was looking for some type of employment. So the police department has an agency that helps former officers find jobs.
Wow, nice.
Police, it's called the Police Benevolent Association, and it helps police officers find jobs.
PBA.
The PBA.
I didn't know that's what they do. I heard of the PBA, but I didn't know that's what they do. Wow, okay. That's interesting.
They keep up with whatever's happening to that police officer, because if you retire, you get a pension and whatnot, perhaps. And they keep up with what's happening to you in terms of your health and your pension and all that. And even to the point of helping you find a job. So I needed a job. I'm 44 years old. I got a family, and I needed to go back to work. So I called the PBA, and they sent me to a place at 144th Street and Convent Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Big church is right there.
Right.
And there's a farm, and the IMCR at that time was located in a former hospital. The building is still there, I'm sure. So I went there to see someone by the name of Ruslan Hoffman. And to my surprise, it was one of my classmates in the police academy. He was like the director at the time. And so I said, wow, that's great. And that's been 39 years ago. 29 years ago.
Okay.
And so I got the position of being a police liaison, which I think was kind of one of the good things, because we need the police to know where we are and what we're doing. And so I became the police liaison and went around to different precincts, telling them of what we're doing, similar to what we're trying to do here, and we'll be doing with you guys, and hopefully something will come of this.
Wow. Okay. Nice. That's nice. Yeah. 144th Street. I know the area. Pretty good. Like you said, the church convent. I believe it's Convent Church right there on 145th Street. Big church.
Exactly. Convent Baptist Church.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Wow. That's pretty interesting. And so how did the mediation part come into play? And what exactly is mediation?
Mediation is a alternative dispute process, alternative dispute resolution process. You hear the acronym ADR, alternative dispute resolutions, which means that rather than have a judge or a jury or somebody litigate a situation, send people to jail, fine people, rather than do that, mediation is a process where you have a neutral third party or a party that's supposed to be neutral. But being neutral is like having a big elephant in the room trying to tell you what to do, but because you're there and you will influence the process, but as much as possible, you will remain neutral and allow people to have a dialogue to talk about what their situation is, and which will give them some tools and machines that will help them resolve their dispute. The mediators will not, should not try to influence the process and tell the people what to do. I see Stephen is in.
Okay.
So that's basically what we do. It's an ADR process where you have a third party neutral to help people in the process, and it's free. Everything is free, and so we've been doing that as a set for about 50 years. So I see Steve here, and he's my supervisor, and I yield to him and let you ask him some questions.
So Steve, Dr. Stephen Slate, Dr. Stephen A. Slate, are you there?
Right here.
Okay. All right. So this is not your regular, radio interview program. This is a little different. I think he froze up on us. There.
Dr. Slate.
He froze up. So we'll just keep talking until we get him back in.
Communication is not very clear.
What's that?
What you say, Slate?
The communication is not very clear.
The communication is not clear.
Okay. I have a feeling that we're gonna have to do this again. We're gonna finish today, but we're gonna have to do this again. Is that would you guys agree to that?
All right.
That's not a problem.
Not a problem. Okay. So
Not a problem at all.
okay. So Dr. Stephen A. Slate, I was just telling Dr. Titus Rich, that I used to be a professional boxer.
Okay. Just
And
don't throw any punches now.
Well, here's the thing. You came a little bit late. So usually when you come late to the show, there's a cost. And it's going to cost you maybe like, I'm going to be nice today. I need like 50 push-ups, man. I'm going light today. That's a light day.
He can do that. That's no problem.
Yeah, I know that. Because, like, for example, my engineer, he's usually doing one-hand push-ups while he's engineering the show. Doug Fraser. Right. So
Cool.
So Dr. Slate, are you there?
I'm right here.
Okay. So how did you get involved in mediation?
It's a very long story, and I'll try to make it as short as possible.
Okay.
But it happened way back in 1987 when I did mediation, and I wondered what that was all about, because back in Nicaragua, where I am from, I had never heard the word mediation. And
So where you say you from?
Nicaragua, Central America.
Wait a minute. Wait a second. Is that the same place where Alexis Arguello is from?
That's correct. That's correct.
Oh,
That's correct.
He was that guy was an excellent boxer, man. Excellent. A technician
Excellent
in
boxer.
the ring.
Yeah.
What's that?
Prior took care of him.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Prior
listen.
took care of him.
I got that.
Prior
But
took care of him, I said.
I got that. But Alexis Aguayo was a 3-time champion in 3 different divisions. Excellent
Right.
boxer. He was a technician. I mean, I've seen his work, and I admired his work in the boxing ring. Alexis Aguayo. So I have big respect for him.
Yep.
And the fact that even prior would win a fight, 2 fights with Alexis Aguayo, that says a lot because
Absolutely.
I have a very high esteem for Alexis Aguayo.
Yep.
All right.
So it was way back in 1982 when I got started. And the person that was talking to me at the time was Manuel Orochena. This Mr. Manuel Orochena, who was the executive director of IMCR at the time. And when I asked him what mediation was all about, and he said, don't worry about it. If you are interested, drop by the office tomorrow. That was a Sunday. And we met at McDonald's on 145 on Broadway. So I went
Wow. I've been there
to the
before.
office that morning. Yeah, I went to the office that morning and he explained what the process was all about. And he told me that he had an opening there for an office manager. And I said, okay. He said, well, look, all I want is to get you on board. And that's how I started. I knew nothing about being an office manager, but I said, okay, that's what you want. You know, I was fresh in New York City. I was out of a job, just came in from San Francisco. And so I started working that same day. That's how that
Right.
started.
Right.
Some months later, I took the famous Med-Arb training, which was the training that IMCR offered at the time. And I took that training and started thinking along the lines of what would have worked for me during that particular training because I am an educator. So I started then doing research in the field of conflict resolution and coming up with my own ideas in terms of the process. And as an educator, I said, well, I could use a premise. And the premise is one that says human beings have what it takes to make a difference in their lives. They are capable of transforming themselves and the environment in which they live. And that's what I used to build a program, which was a mediation program. At the time, IMCR was offering Med-Arb, which was a hybrid process, mediation slash arbitration. And every case that came to the center at the time was resolved either through mediation or through arbitration. So that worked very, very well for the city. And that's when the city decided then to start funding these programs. So that's how I came on board earlier on. And it wasn't until 1993 that I had an opportunity for developing a training program and offering the training under the supervision of the Unified Court System, their ADR program. And about a week later, after that training in 1993, I received a letter which I was certified as a New York State mediation trainer. And that's when I started, training. I did training for IMCR on the weekends. I trained also for 10 years at Columbia University Teachers College in their graduate program. And I also did some training at Bronx Community College and training at Mercy College in the Bronx. So basically, that's me. In 1996, I was given the reign of this organization after the departure of the president and CEO. R. David Adams is an attorney. He recommended that I be the person to, continue the work at IMCR. And I took it on. And the first thing I did was demote myself. I I didn't appear as the president and CEO. I demoted myself to executive director because the institute was not doing well at the time. So rather than having the dispute resolution center under the umbrella of the institute, I turned things around and had the institute under the umbrella of the dispute resolution center. And that's how we survived. And here I am, you know.
Wow, you put your ego in your back pocket.
Yeah.
You put your ego in your back pocket. I love that because so many people is all about me. Let me just say, it kind of reminds me because this radio station, GHCR.NYC, was built in a housing community project. GHCR, which is the sister station of WHCR 90.3 FM, which is located on the campus of City College. So these brothers did a magnificent job, and they put together a radio, a communication studio in the projects in Harlem. So that kind of reminds me a little bit about, I see a wonderful communication here. I see a wonderful communication. So shout out to Doug Frazier, Stuart Reed, Carlton Davis. These are the guys that helped, put this program together. So yes, I'm very, very excited. So Dr. Stephen E. Slate, how did you connect with Len Williams? Did we lose Dr. Slate?
I still see him.
You see him?
Yeah.
I didn't get the question. I didn't get the question.
Well, the question was, Len Williams, I thought she did an excellent job connecting us, so bringing you guys on this program. How did you connect with Len Williams?
Well, I met Professor Len Williams a few years ago through Dr. Rich. She came to us, having been trained elsewhere, and she did her apprenticeship with us at IMCR. And just getting some feedback from Dr. Rich, we started then talking to her and bring her on board so that she could help us with our apprenticeship program. She also took a training with me, and that's how I got to know her. And it was a train the trainer training session. And that's when I met her. And, ever since, she has been very active. And that's the type of individual that I would like to see more of within the organization.
Wow. Yeah, she did an excellent job bringing us together. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to mediation?
I really don't know if they make mistakes. And one of the things I know that parties to a dispute think is that when they come to us is that we are there to resolve their issues. And they come to us looking for us to resolve it. And if you want to label that as a mistake, well, I mean, that's one of the major ones that they make. And frankly, we don't tell folks what to do. We don't give any advice. What we do is that we are specially trained to ask lots of questions leading to answers. And we ask questions because we want the parties to a dispute to continue talking. We believe that as long as they are talking, there are possibilities for them to arrive at a place where they feel comfortable with an outcome. That's what we do. When we train our trainees, we let them know that the people that do well in the field are people that know how to mind their own business. And what I mean by that is not that you're not interested in the welfare of the parties that come to the table. Obviously, you are very much interested, because if two people reside in the community have a problem, I say that the community itself has a problem, and we need to be of help to these folks. and not tell them what to do, because we believe that they can resolve the matters themselves. Okay, we don't give any advice because our best advice might be their worst nightmare. So, yeah.
And to add to that, we have found out that people who come to their own solutions and they have vested interest in it, and these solutions will usually last much longer than if someone had gone to court and were forced to come to a resolution. So the thing is that if they decide the resolution for themselves, they own it and it is theirs. And that way you have like an 80 to 90% success rate of people. And they usually don't come back once they do that, because it's theirs. They take it home and they live with it.
Okay. So let's say I do have a conflict. I have a conflict, and maybe you guys could help me to tell me how to deal with this conflict. Are you ready?
Sure.
My conflict is that there is not enough positive motivation in the streets. It's not enough of it in the streets, and it's not being taught in the streets. The positive motivational success principles. That's my conflict.
May I jump on that?
Absolutely.
When you say street, now you're far ahead. You put the cart before the horse.
Okay.
How to address conflict, in my opinion, is that you address it from day one with a person, even as young as 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old. That's where you begin to address, because you pretty much know what children are like early on. And by the time they get to the street, you really got a problem. So that may not be the best place to try to educate people on how to resolve conflict, even though there are some things that could be done. But the earlier you get to them, which is what we try to do, this is why we have a lot of parent-child conflicts come to us, and that's where you begin.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that I study this thing called personal development, how people can improve themselves. What I'm saying is I don't think that people are not getting enough of that information in the streets. That is my conflict with the community, with people.
My question to you is, what's working for you?
What's that?
What's working for you? What's working for you? What have you observed?
What has
that's
worked
causing
for me?
This situation that you have? What's happening out there that that's not okay with you?
That's okay with me, or not okay?
That's not okay with you. What's happening out there that's you don't agree with?
I don't agree with the fact that a lot of people have the mentality of it's all about me. Forget everybody else. It's all about me. It's not about let's work together, how we can support one another and help each other grow and build as a community. It's about me. You better get out my way because I'm going to get mine, and later for you. You get yours the best way you can. I'm going to get mine. It's a very selfish act. Like you put your ego in your back pocket to help the program grow. This is what I'm talking about.
But in order for me to do that, I had information way back in the day. It's not something that I just did to do. I mean, this is part of who I am. And it has to do with, the type of education that I got from my parents and friends and teachers and whatnot, and things that I believe in. However, what I want to do is work with you in terms of how you feel with this particular situation. Are you the only person that's reacting that way? Or are there other folks that are reacting the way you are?
Yeah, there are definitely other people out there that see things the way I see it, for sure. And there's also a distance uh, between young people, older people, for different generations. Sometimes there seems to be a separation. I don't see the generations coming together and working together as a team. Older generations got experience, they've got knowledge, they got wisdom. Why shouldn't the young people want to learn from the more experienced people? I think that makes sense to me. Why you have to learn it all over again? Learn for yourself.
All right. We understand that it makes a lot of sense to you. We do understand that. Okay. Why do you think that people are reacting the way they are? Why do you think people are indifferent to what's happening out there? From
Well,
your own experience, what do you think is happening out there?
I think it's the parents. The parents don't have the knowledge to share with the children. Sometimes it's the teachers, and sometimes even the churches. You see, like a lot of parents don't educate their children about basic money principles. Something as simple as that. A lot of kids grow up not knowing how to handle their money, and they wind up getting in money trouble, getting in a lot of debt because the parents didn't know. So how are the parents going to teach the children? So you got things like that. That's just one area, which is money.
Okay, so you mentioned three areas. You talked about parents, you talked about teachers, and you talked about churches.
Yes.
Okay, and you also stated what you think they should be doing. Is there a platform whereby you can share your views with parents, teachers, and the churches? Is there a platform that you can use? If so, what is that platform?
Well, one of the platforms is this radio program. Like I've done over 900 shows. I've interviewed people that have taught teach parents and teach children how to handle their money. Another thing that seems to be missing in the communities is this thing called self-discipline, and a lot of people do not have this thing called self-discipline. You mention the word, they think it's a bad thing. I've asked some people, they never heard of the word.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, I think a lot of this reverts back to the home and
Right.
even the churches, because if you notice, there's a kind of hierarchical structure that children are raised under. Years ago, it was like the home, then the church, the school, or the home, the school, the church, then the community. And then it's kind of flipped now. It's like social media is telling children what to do.
Right.
It's totally on its head.
Right.
And in order to survive, we have to reverse that and hopefully get it back to where the home, the church and the school are the principal agencies that help bring up, help rear young people. Unless we do that, then we're still going to have these problems. And there are many factors that will keep the home from being that basic agency that helps. Economics, or even not rearing children in ways that used to be. When I grew up and I did something wrong, it was not only my parents that would corporally punish me, but members of the neighborhood, elders could do the same thing. Society says now you don't do that. And I think that's where we are. That's one of the reasons why we're losing a lot of young people.
Right. Well, you know, like when I was growing up, they had a place
All right,
called.
so Mr. Seal,
Go ahead. You were gonna say something, Dr. Slate?
oh yeah, I'm still interested in, I'm still interested in your situation, and I'm having a conversation with you,
Yeah.
asking you questions that would
Yeah.
help you arrive at your own conclusions.
Right.
That's my
So
my task right now.
right.
And
So
so far, this platform, which is your radio, you
right.
mentioned the radio and what
Right.
you would do on the radio and so forth and so forth. What if that doesn't work? What else is there you could think about?
Well, let me just say this: like
I heard
when I
Dr. Rich mention social media, something like that.
yeah, when I grew up, they had a place called Stone Gym, and I went there and I got my first job and working in the gym, and I think I was getting $250 a week, $2.50 a week, and I'm gonna tell you how happy I was to get my own money. And I thought that was just wonderful that I could, you know, go to a place and learn how to be responsible and work. I thought that was very valuable. That was very valuable for me as a young man, as a very, very young man. That was my first job in Stone Gym, which was a community center where they had basketball, they had all kind of activities there, different sports. Stone Gym. So that helped me a lot in the beginning.
And so I would guess from that you developed a sense of work ethics.
Yeah, well, I got my that's my first job.
Having
I
to
got
be
my
there
own money.
Having to be there on time, taking responsibility for what you're doing, taking instructions.
Right.
And many young people just don't have that today.
Right.
Mama takes care of them, the system takes care of them. And if I don't have to work for it, why should I worry about finding a job? Why should I worry about looking for anything other than that?
Yeah. And then when I got 14, I got my first summer youth court job during the summer. I started working, had the summer job during the summer. So that was another learning experience. That was another learning experience.
Okay, so basically you came to us and you presented a situation and you labeled it as your personal conflict.
Right.
And what we have been doing with you is just having a conversation.
Right.
I am not trying to change your views of the world. We're just talking. And hopefully in this conversation, you would arrive at your own conclusion in terms of what will work for you. That's what we do at the center. We don't tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, where to do it, etc. We just have a conversation with you where we ask, meaningful questions and allow you to just talk about it. So I just said, what if the radio doesn't work? Is there something else? Is there another platform that you can use? And what would that platform be?
I would think the next thing would be just literally to take it to the streets. Just literally take it to the streets, and then that would be like bringing, instead of interviewing the guests on the radio, I would interview them on the street. Bring it to the street. I think that would be the next.
Okay, so thanks for sharing that. thanks for sharing that with us. And you said, take it to the streets. My
Yeah.
question to you is, what about your home? What about your home before going to the streets? Are things working for you inside your own family before you go outside?
Right. Yeah.
Just asking you that question.
Yeah. Yeah. Things are working very well in
So
my home, in my family.
what have you done in your own home?
Well, I'm working on motivating, inspiring my family to reach for their potential. That's my job. That's what I've been doing with my family. Helping my family to understand their potential and to get them to reach for their potential. That's my job.
And as I said before, that's basically where it should start.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
It's sort of like, and I hate to use this as an analogy, it's like this COVID thing we got. It starts somewhere, and it usually starts with a local group of people or one person, and one person infects or persuades another person. It just starts at a ground zero somewhere, and the solution to many of our problems, the ground zero, is the home.
Right. So what I've been doing, I've been giving my nieces, nephews, daughters, children, mother, everybody been giving them books to help them learn to improve themselves. I've been sharing different books with them. I would go out, I would literally purchase the books for them and give them their books like on their birthdays and things like that, stuff for them to read to improve themselves. That's one of the things I've been doing.
And we have to do this anywhere we go. As a person who feels that way, everywhere you go, you project yourself and present yourself as that type of person.
Yeah.
I went out to a restaurant to pick up some food yesterday, and a young person, maybe around 20 years old, was asking me about my hair and wow, man, you look great or whatever. And he said, how old are you? And I told him, I'm almost 79 years old.
Wow.
And he said, how do you get to live so long per se? What's your secret for you? I said, love yourself. One of the first things you got to do is love yourself.
Nice.
And so, and a lot of young people nowadays, they're not taught to love themselves. They're taught to love the way other people are and try to live the way other people are rather than be themselves and love themselves and take care of themselves. And if they can take care of themselves, they can take care of other folk.
Right. Nice.
There's something also
yeah.
that I would like to add, and it's okay to buy books and have conversations and whatnot, but what about being that model for family members and friends? So it's not just about talking about things and reading about things, it's about being whatever it is you're looking for on the outside. So
Right.
the modeling is important also. And this doesn't take much talking at all.
Yeah.
And folks, not only family members, but other folks on the outside look and say, wow, look at this guy, huh? Unbelievable. And they start emulating, whatever it is that you are doing. So there are lots of things that we do and we are unaware of it, that we actually doing that.
Right.
But we live in a world where perception is key. Perception, we perceive things, and sometimes the perception is positive, other times it's negative. And our perceptions, we believe it's true, and that's not the way it is. I mean, your perception is not necessarily the truth. You may perceive things that affect the senses, and you may think, well, they are real, yes, but are they truthful? None at all. But you sense it, you know. So talking about those things, I mean, it's part of our actual training, part of our training also. We talk about these things.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And the time just seemed to have flown by. That means this is a very interesting topic. We have to do this again. Is it possible? Can we get together again and do this again? We need to have a part 2, or in my case, round 2.
Round 2, round 3, round 12, your call.
When you start talking about round 12, we're talking about those are the championship rounds.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was once 15, then they just drop it to 12. Huh?
That's right. That's right. Alexis Aguero used to go when he fought Pryor, it was 15. That's right.
15 rounds. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
You see, I am also old school. I'm old school also. Titus talks about 79. I am 77.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty cool. Well,
Yep.
any final thoughts that we want to share as we any final thoughts?
I would say just continue to
That
be
final thought sounds like closure.
yeah, just be that positive force. Just be that positive force.
Okay.
Whichever way you can.
Yeah.
As you said, that Professor Lynn, she was very tenacious in getting this set up. You just have to keep doing it.
Right.
And it's very positive what you're doing, and to bring people the knowledge of what you want to do, and the knowledge of because you have a great vehicle there that disseminate a lot of information, and you just have to talk to people and get their perspective and put it out there. That's what the world does. That's what high-end news medias do, constantly keeping things in front of people.
Okay. All right. All right. Dr. Slate, any final words?
I don't have any final words. I mean, all we do is continue to share our views of the world, and that's what we think we should be about. We are trainers, and we are constantly educating folks, and it's up to folks to take heed to whatever we share with them. I mean, the gray hair is not there just for fun. Has to do with experience also.
Right.
Yeah.
Came with a price.
If someone wants to become a mediator, how do they get involved?
Basically, once we start offering mediation to training, and that's it.
Okay.
Did you get that?
No, I didn't get that part.
Say that again, Professor Slate. How does one become?
All they do is they just register for the training. We do training in English and Spanish.
And they go to imcr.org on our website.
Okay.
Or they can call the Institute at 718-585-1190.
Let me get that number one more time.
718-585-1190.
718-585-1190. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I want to thank you, and I'll be in touch, and we will definitely do this again. You guys were amazing.
Thank you.
All right.
Somebody say, well, I'm not like you. I'm not a congressman. I haven't got
The question
education.
is, do you feel
I
any
haven't
better with your
learned.
conflict?
But you're a human being. And you know what you've got? You've got in your hand.
What was that, Professor Slate?
And for you, even though
Just asking Rick Young how he feels with his conflict. I just want to know how Mr. Young feels in terms of his conflict.
Did you get that, Rick? How do you feel now about your conflict?
Do
Well,
you feel any difference at all?
today was a learning experience, and I'm ready. I'm looking forward to round two. That's what I'm looking forward to. Round two, we're gonna do it again, and I see that there's a lot to learn here. There's a lot to learn.
Yes. On all fronts.
All right. All right. I'm going to get ready for my next program, and I will be in touch. I will be in touch with Lynn
the
Williams.
agricultural science of peanuts and of cotton and sweet potato and any other human being in the field of agricultural science. What's in your hand? Just let God use you, that's all. What's in your hand? I've got a string in my hand, that's all, and I'm flying a kite. And way up in the heavens, lightning strikes it. And I, Benjamin Franklin, discover for the first time